We're going to move on next to our next presenter is Craig Flowers. He's the Director of Computing Services for Veterinary Medicine at the University of Illinois. Craig is enjoying his 20th year serving the college. He also co-facilitates a leadership workshop for IT professionals at the university with 5 other colleagues. So I'm going to turn things over now to Craig when you're ready.
I'd like to thank Chris Brandt and Rob Malinowski for arranging this virtual conference. I'm enjoying this format and something I'd like to participate in the future. I see by the poll here, the majority of the people are using some lecture recording already in their curriculum. I'm listed really to speak on Echo 360. However, we use a turnkey installation and there's not really much interesting to say about it. So I'd like to take a little bit of step back and kind of discuss from the balcony view and describe how we deployed it. Lecture capture, when you're getting into it, is actually quite an expensive, and at the time when we started, it was a cutting edge technology at the time. As technology leaders, the responsibility to incorporate new technology in our curriculums often falls on our plate. And it's a difficult position to be in because curriculum is actually created and owned by the faculty. And I've never really had much luck in changing how the academy operates. So I'm going to show you a little bit about how we deployed lecture capture because I think it highlights methods that we can use really to deploy any technology that we run across. I'm just looking to advance my slide here. Okay. So first of all, I'll just give you a little bit of overview of Illinois. We are 120 students in each year of our class. We really have 3 large lecture rooms that we record out of, and a couple of 70-seat seminar rooms that we also record out of.
Craig, you can use the arrow keys in the bottom to advance.
Thank you. Okay, so when we started, we looked at lecture recording, and it was about $30,000 a classroom. And our faculty really had trouble getting behind that. They didn't really see the value that was going to bring to the curriculum, and they really didn't trust it. You know, there were a lot of people that thought for sure that students would be taking their lectures and, you know, posting them everywhere. And, you know, I had to explain to them they were probably already recording them and putting them up there on YouTube as it was. So we realized that if we were going to pull this off, we were going to have to start small, do kind of a grassroots thing, and we were going to have to find something that was inexpensive and that was scalable. So we have a very big environment of collaboration here on campus, and we were able to leverage other installations on our campus. In particular, the College of Education had a podcast producer site going. Our central campus unit had just put up the Apple iTunes U, and sites had improved some networks around just for this installation. So we simply put up some podcast capture machines in our rooms, leveraged the College of Education producer installation, and then we used iTunes U so we didn't have to worry about any authentication or distribution issues. So we were set up pretty much from the beginning to be able to do this in a very automated method. One way that we differ from most of the other places on our campus, and I'm sure you all experience the same thing, is in a medical curriculum you have a little bit higher standards in your classroom. In particular, you might have the microscope. And a microscope is a high definition feed. And when we got started, of course, there wasn't a lot of high def feeds. So recording mechanisms. So we had to use these capture devices in front of Apple Macs to capture everything that was coming from our projector. We also did the same thing that Auburn did. You know, you have to look at this and say, well, we won't record everything. We'll record it if you want it. And so we did recordings by consent of instructor, and we found out there were a lot of instructors that just didn't want to consent. So we went to our students. You know, we found that when they approached an instructor, the instructor was much more willing to give in to have their lectures consent to have their lectures recorded. We also found a few key faculty that were willing to be champions for us and go ahead and consent ahead of time. And we had a lot of success our first year like that. So much success that I went around saying that I was going to record everybody. And the picture there is of a bottle of wine that I lost to one of our section heads because I claimed that I would get all of her faculty in her section recorded the next year. And of course, there was one holdout, and that was the bottle of wine I had to pay her when I lost. But like Auburn, you never let a good crisis go to waste, and H1N1 came along, and our faculty curriculum committee quickly said that we need to be recording everything. So that was our funding to be able to scale up to every classroom to put this in. We also leveraged a change in our curriculum. And the way our curriculum used to work is we used to have specific faculty talk on specific subject matter. And so they each had their own class. And the way we changed at Illinois was we went to 17 courses that might be taught by a lot of different faculty in each course. So this now allowed me to go to only one course instructor, coordinator, to get permission to record the whole course. And as you can see here, at any one time, we're only teaching 4 courses at a time. And the blue dots are actually, the blue squares there are actually because our students on that year are in the clinics. So even our first year students come here and they spend 6 weeks in the clinics. So really that gave us the motivation to do recording for the whole curriculum. Everything was completely automated. Like Auburn, we get our information at the beginning of the year, and we set things up, and it's a hands-off recording system. And this is just a typical recording schedule for 1 week. We had 43 hours, 29 recordings. We were using Macs. We were doing this on the cheap. We were using Podcast Producer. You know, some things did go wrong. We had a great success rate, but recording sometimes wouldn't start and stop at the right time. There were audio problems. People would forget to turn on their microphone. You know, these kind of things were always happening. So, and in particular, one of the things that was a little bit fun, to make sure that your volume was right, we put a horse neigh at the beginning of our lectures. So the idea was the student would be able to adjust their volume. Well, what happened in the classroom is the audio wouldn't be set right in the classroom. So the students would have to turn their volume up really, really high. The next lecture would start, and the horse neigh would pretty much blow their eardrums out. And one of the recordings we caught at the beginning of the recording is the students in the class were asking the instructor if they can get rid of the horse neigh. And of course, the instructor knew nothing about that. So I got a little note from the dean. Please remove horse neigh from the beginning of all lectures. And it's just kind of one of the funny things that happens when you undertake this kind of thing. So at any rate, we were making future plans to really scale up this thing when Mac kind of pulled the plug. Apple pulled the plug a little bit on Podcast Producer. We also wanted a higher success rate than that 90%. So we went to another colleagues on campus, the engineering department, who were using Echo 360, and we just replaced our recording devices in our rooms with Echo 360 devices. We use engineering's Echo 360 server, and we're still sending everything out to iTunes U. And our success rate is about I think it's 3 nines now. 99.9% of all our lectures are recorded properly. So really what I want to highlight are some of the things that we learned in this. And teaching is more than an instructor getting in front of a room and talking to the students. There's really a relationship there between the instructor and the student. And now when I look to bring in technology to classrooms, what I try and do is highlight the value of how I can improve that communication and improve the relationship between the faculty and the student. And I'm finding I'm getting a little bit more buy-in and a little bit more people willing to look at new things, such as flipping the classroom, such as doing the didactic recording beforehand. Pretty much this was a success because we had the students driving it for us in this instance. So I want to thank you very much, and there's my email address, and if there's any questions, I'll take them now.